Jupiter is like the father figure of the planets in our solar system. It is the largest, most important, yet the most terrifying planet in existence. Hello everyone! Did you know that amongst space lovers, falling into Jupiter is considered to be one of the most scariest things possible? The name Jupiter came from the old Roman legend, also known as the King of the Gods. Thank you for viewing our channel here today. While others may be afraid, we're courageously studying the Roman King of Gods every day. In recent years, a number of interesting new facts have come to light that have yet to be included in an astronomy textbook. In fact, Jupiter revealed a new, unexpected side to us. Doesn't it sound exciting? What are we waiting for? Let's begin. A strong desire. Jupiter could have been a small companion star to the Sun, also known as a brown dwarf. Jupiter quickly gained a large mass when collisions occurred between small planets during the early stages of the solar system. However, there were many thief planets that happened to suck bits and pieces of Jupiter. It is said that something passed by the Sun that led to a big portion of Jupiter's solid substances to be forced out, ejected, somewhere in the Oort cloud. And the leftovers were all swallowed up by Saturn. As a result, Jupiter got enough mass to keep helium and hydrogen, but not enough to trigger a fusion reaction. However, this was rather convenient for us people living on Earth. Because, if not, the gravitational pull would have been too strong that it'd stop Earth's rotation, causing a catastrophe, and may force Earth to fall out of the orbit. If that happened, Earth may have been just another satellite moon of a gigantic planet. Collision with a comet. Majority of the meteor falls that occur in our solar system ends up in either Jupiter or Saturn. It is thanks to that, majority of the small planets located within the inner part of the solar system gets pushed between Mars and Jupiter. All comets from Oort cloud changes its path when it passes Jupiter or Saturn, and it becomes either their satellite planet or collides with giant planets. Out of all those comets, Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 was the first to be discovered by human beings. This comet was discovered in 1992 when it passed by Jupiter, and the strong gravitational field of Jupiter destroyed the comet into 22 individual pieces. In 1994, these pieces collided with Jupiter, causing intense luminescence and explosions in the atmosphere. That one explosion was few hundred times bigger and stronger than if all the nuclear bombs that existed on Earth were detonated combined. A huge tidal wave as high as few hundred kilometers occurred in an ocean full of liquid hydrogen, which formed due to the pressure that exists in the lower layers of the atmosphere. In 2009, another comet again collided with Jupiter. The reaction was not as severe as the one in 1994. When the pieces of the Shoemaker-Levy 9 collided with Jupiter, a scar of a size of the Earth formed in Jupiter's atmosphere, but this time, it was only about the size of the Pacific Ocean. If this comet had collided with Earth, while it may not destroy all life, it probably would have been enough to empty a huge area for a few hundred years. It is thanks to Jupiter that we are all able to live peacefully and develop today. Without Jupiter, the same cataclysms that wiped out the dinosaurs would have occurred multiple times on Earth. If we tell you that collisions of large celestial objects have been confirmed twice in 2010 and once in 2016, you'd understand how frequently it is happening. The Kingdom of Wind and Storm. Jupiter's most known characteristics is the Great Red Spot. It is a persistent, high-pressure region in the atmosphere of Jupiter, producing an anticyclonic storm that can easily fit our planet Earth. It was first observed in 1664 and is believed to be the same storm we see today. There are other, smaller red and white spots in Jupiter's atmosphere that last a few decades. The power of the wind blowing there is several times stronger than the blast that kills people when an atomic bomb explodes. Jupiter's atmosphere is consistently swarming with heat. Jupiter spins at a very fast rate, but at the equator, the spinning is even faster than in the polar regions. This is how the signature stripes for the Jupiter is formed. Also, in Jupiter, a strong lightning storm occurs that can destroy a medium-sized European city such as Riga, Budapest, or Amsterdam with a single lightning strike. On the other hand, of course, you can observe a stunning, beautiful aurora. There are a lot of things we do not know about the upper layer of the Jupiter's atmosphere. Recently, a sharp increase in the strength of the magnetic field in Jupiter's polar regions allowed us to observe two cross-shaped spots. Another interesting fact, the atmosphere is significantly hotter in the shade area, which is caused by the satellite moons around Jupiter. It is believed that tidal force has a significant influence. Envy Saturn. Jupiter was always jealous of Saturn's beautiful rings made out of ice. Jealous, envied, and finally decided that it was going to get its own fancy ring, and successfully gained 3 rings. Unfortunately, those rings were dark, hazy, and sparse. The theoretical model that predicted the existence of the rings were developed by the Soviet and American researchers in the 1960s, but it was not until the 1979 that it was actually discovered. The rings are made up by leftover dust particles of comets that get pulled and destroyed by Jupiter. Maybe one day, this ring may become a valuable source of industrial materials and help us understand the geological substance of other astronomical objects. No entry zone. Jupiter is extremely radioactive. It emits a very strong radiation. Jupiter has a strong magnetic field. While the Earth's magnetic field is created solely by the motion of a relatively thin liquid core, since Jupiter itself is made with mainly gas and liquid substance, Jupiter's magnetic field is heavily impacted by the atmosphere and the oceans. Jupiter's radiation extends far into the space. Even the closest satellites, Io and Europa, would be exposed to lethal doses of radiation in no time. This is the main reason why the study for Jupiter isn't sailing smoothly. Research can only be done from a far distance. If any research machine enters into a low orbit, any electronics will be destroyed by the gamma radiation. The father figure, not just a figure. Jupiter has several hundred satellite moons. They are all unique and good in its own way. In addition to the Galilean moons, such as Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, found in the early 17th century, there are many other small non-spherical astronomical objects. Majority of them formed at the same time Jupiter formed, and they consistently rotated around Jupiter. There are some that were not originally Jupiter's satellite, but the father figure's strong charisma and perhaps the gravity convinced them to become one. These moons rotate in the opposite directions, and to systematize them, researchers have given them names that end with an E sound, such as Ananke, Carme, Pasiphae, and Sinope. Some of the moons stay within Jupiter for a certain period of time and eventually escape. Those are usually a comet from the Oort cloud, caught in Jupiter's gravity and rotating in an irregular orbit. A good example would be the Kushida-Muramatsu comet, which was captured by Jupiter in 1949, but successfully escaped in 1962. Near Jupiter, there are 2 groups of moons distributed near Jupiter. To be precise, not around Jupiter, but instead shares the planet Jupiter's orbit around the Sun. They are located at an equilibrium point called the Lagrangian point. They are a large group of asteroids known as the Trojan asteroids, which is said to exist in other giant planets. Some researchers believe that Earth may also have this Trojan group, but if it does, it would be very small in size and very few in number. And that's it for today. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Jupiter is a fascinating planet, yet we still don't know much about it. There is a possibility that it may be a good resource of valuable minerals, such as deuterium, tritium, and many others. By understanding and studying the process of Jupiter and its moons, maybe one day we'll gain new facts such as the origins of Earth, stars, and the formation of planets. Let's keep unrevealing the secrets of the universe. We hope you visit our channel again. See you soon.